Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna talk about 23 books that I want to read in 2023. Of course I want to read more books than that, but I have a list of books that I really badly want to read. And I'm not gonna talk you through about what every book is about, but I'm gonna tell you why it's on my list. So I have my reading journal with 23 books, spoilers, and I'm gonna start with the book that I've already read, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I hope that I'm reading this right, because it's always very hard task to do. And because I've already read this book, I'm going to tell that I didn't really enjoy that. I thought it was an okay story, but it was very slow and I don't know, nothing really happened. And although I like books where nothing really happens, like Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, this is one of my favorite books that I read last year, but this book wasn't it. So I had a rough start with this list. Second of all, I want to read A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, and you've probably heard about this book already because it's everywhere on BookTok, it's everywhere on BookTube, and this book destroys you emotionally. I'm not really ready for that, and it might be one of the last books that I'm going to read this year, or it might be the next book I'm going to read, depending on my mood. Then I want to read We Hunt the Flame by I'm not going to read this author's name because I'm going to butcher that and I don't want that. But We Hunt the Flame. The only reason I want to read this book is because I've seen this everywhere on BookTok and it's fantasy probably, and that is the only reason I want to read that, because you don't need to read the high pieces of literature to enjoy books. Then I want to read Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and this is a thriller mystery. I don't know, I really like the cover. You might be asking why, because it's only blue and that's all is going on this cover, but something in this cover was like, read me. Then I want to read A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and this book is also on this list because of the cover, but that's not the only reason. It's on this list because I saw the beautiful edition of this book by Fairyloot or Illumi Create, I can't really remember, and I fell in love and I decided that I want to read this book, but I won't have this special edition. Then Dance of Thieves by Mary E. Pearson, again fantasy, YA I think, and this book is on my TBR for like couple of years. I've already been in the stage where I wasn't reading any books in the year, and I was always thinking about this book and I wanted to buy this for like 4 years or something. And this year, hopefully, I will read Dance of Thieves, and the second book is called Vows of Thieves, maybe? Vows of something. Again, cover is beautiful. I have no idea what it's about. Then again, fantasy, YA. Although I don't really want to read a lot of YA this year. I think many of these books are YA. Again, I'm not sure. This wasn't researched at all. It was this curated from books I've heard a lot of things about and they were in my memory. Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Mae Skalko. And this is trilogy now. Katie is reading on her channel. She talks a lot about this series, so I decided it's time to actually read it. Then the 8th position on my list is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong, and I think it's contemporary. I might be really wrong. This is the book I've heard a lot about, but my memory is not the best, so I can't remember anything about this book. I can remember that Jack Edwards probably talked about this book a lot, and a lot of booktubers I watch. The next one is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is the book that I know something about, and I know this is about a game designer. It has a really high ratings on Goodreads and every other book platform, and I haven't heard anything negative about this book, so I have really high expectations. We're going on to the second page of my reading spread. The first one on this page is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. Something. This is also a book that I know something about, and it's about a woman that murdered her husband and now doesn't talk, and she's in the psychiatric ward, and some psychiatrist is making her talk basically, and I think this is a story why and how and why she went silent, and that's all I know about. Then I have one book from Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Who Are You? I wanted to read any book by Sally Rooney because I've heard it's like slice of life book, and it doesn't really have a plot. It's more like contemplating society and politics. It's written in very particular way, which means no quotation marks. I might read also Normal People and Conversation with Friends, but I'm going to see if I like her writing style and her no plot books. Then high fantasy, not the only high fantasy on this list, thankfully. Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. The only thing I know is this high fantasy. It's not light book to read, but many people love his writing style, love his world building, character building, so I will give it a go. I know it's also a very long book or long series. I know some book has like 1,000 pages, and I hope it's not that because I don't know if I have time and focus to read 1,000 book page. Next one is The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. My mother read this book, so I was like, it's not going to be really for me because it is historical probably, and I don't know if I like historical fiction. But then I've heard someone on BookTube, I can exactly remember it was the video where they were looking at the highest rated books on their TBR, I think, and The Nightingale has really, really high reviews. So from then I wanted to read this book, and I'm going to read this year. Next is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. This is trilogy. This author has different series in the same world, but you should read Caraval first, and then Once Upon a Broken Heart, I think, is the next series. I'm more excited about the other series, but I'm going to start with this one. Then My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Ossel. Again, I have no idea what it's about. I shall see. Then I have The Secret History by Donna Tartt. You've all probably heard about this book. I want to read this book before I read any other R.F. Kuang books, because she quotes this book or is referencing that in Babel, which is also the next position on my list. So first of all I want to read The Secret History, then Babel. One of two memoirs that I want to read is Everything I know about Love by Polly Alderton and its memoir. I don't really read memoirs, but from what I've heard, this is a good book. Then, classics. Lord of the Rings. I've never read Lord of the Rings, I've never watched Lord of the Rings. I only watch Hobbit. So I thought it's finally time to read this classic fantasy, and I have this in physical form, also in English, which is nice. And hopefully I will like this, because if I'm not going to like this, I think everybody will want to have a talk with me. Then, These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. I have no idea what that is. So, again, it was in my brain and I want to know what it's about, so I'm going to read this. Fantasy, The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. This is a book that Storygraph recommended to me and I decided it sounded interesting and I really liked the cover. But again, I can't remember. I'm very prepared for this video. Next book, Witcher. Because I can't speak Polish, I need to read The Witcher. The same situation like with the Lord of the Rings. I haven't read, well, I tried to read the first book in this series. This is not really first book in the series. It's like prequel short stories, The Last Wish. But yeah, I've never read, I've never watched, and I've never played the game. So again, I'm uncultured. What can I say? And the last book I want to read is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Janet McCarthy. Of course, everybody and their mother read this book. So I want to know what it's about. I heard that Janet has great writing. She is a great storyteller, and I also heard that the audiobook is great, so it might be the only audiobook I'm going to listen this year. That's all of the 23 books I want to read this year. I hope you enjoyed this video. I shall see you soon, probably with the reading vlogs or some sort of vlogs. I don't know. Bye bye.